The Last Defender. The message arrived in fragments, scattered across emergency frequencies like dying breaths. Entire star systems were going silent. Not the gradual quiet of evacuation or surrender, but the sudden, total silence of extinction. Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Nemesis, Earth's most advanced warship, as Lieutenant Rai Tanaka pieced together the transmissions. Viridian homeworld. Gone. Keltari defensive line. Breached. Seraph Prime. All communications ceased. Ray's voice trembled despite her military discipline. Captain, the Veridex are systematically exterminating every sentient species in the Orion Arm. The bridge fell silent as the gravity of her words sank in. The Veridex, a species unknown until 6 months ago, had emerged from the galactic core with technology centuries beyond anyone else's. Their armada moved methodically, destroying planets with terrifying efficiency. Marcus studied the tactical display. The Nemesis was far from home, on a deep space mission, testing experimental technologies when the attacks began. Now they might be the last surviving human warship. Status report, Marcus ordered, his voice steady despite the dread building inside him. Commander Eliza Washington, his executive officer, stepped forward. The quantum drive is operating at 93% efficiency. Adaptive shield matrix is fully functional. Prototype resonance cannon is charged but untested in actual combat. Marcus nodded, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic star map. Earth's last transmission had come 3 days ago. A desperate order from Fleet Admiral Hernandez. Protect what remains. Use Protocol Lazarus. Humanity's survival is in your hands. Protocol Lazarus. The contingency plan for humanity's extinction event. Somewhere in deep space, colony ships carried thousands of humans in stasis, seeking refuge beyond the Veridex's path of destruction. The Nemesis was supposed to find and protect them. Plot a course to the Carthus Nebula, Marcus ordered. Maximum stealth protocols. If there are survivors gathering anywhere, it would be there. The Nemesis slipped through space like a ghost, its revolutionary metamaterial hull absorbing sensor scans rather than reflecting them. For 8 days, they encountered nothing but debris fields where thriving civilizations had once existed. The silence of space had never felt so oppressive. On the 9th day, they found survivors. A ragtag fleet of refugee ships from a dozen different species hiding in the radioactive clouds of the Carthus Nebula. Captain, we're being hailed, Rai announced. It's a Telosian warship. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, amphibian-like being with iridescent scales and large, multifaceted eyes. I am Commander Vask of the Telosian Guard. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Captain Marcus Chen of the UES Nemesis. We're from Earth. Vask's eyes widened. Earth. Earth was destroyed 2 weeks ago. The Veridex left nothing behind. Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. Intellectually, he had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed made his knees weak. Earth was gone. Billions of lives, family, friends, humanity's cradle, all reduced to cosmic dust. We were on a deep space mission, Marcus explained, his voice surprisingly steady, testing experimental systems. We may be the last human warship. Vask studied him for a long moment. Then you are as we are, the last defenders of dead worlds. Come, join our council. Perhaps together we might survive a little longer before the Veridex find us. The refugee fleet had converted an abandoned mining station into a makeshift command center. Representatives from 17 species, once rivals, now united by catastrophe, gathered around a holographic display showing the advancing Veridex armada. They follow a predictable pattern, explained Corinna, a winged Altarian scientist. Her wings trembled as she pointed at the display. They surround a system, position 13 vessels in this configuration, then somehow collapse the star's core. The resulting supernova eliminates all life in the system. Why? Asked Eliza. What do they gain from this extermination? Nothing, replied Vask. They take no resources, capture no territories. They simply destroy and move on. We've intercepted some communications. They call it purification. Marcus studied the display, noting the configuration of the Veridex ships during an attack. Something about it nagged at his mind. "Can you show me the energy readings during one of these star collapses?" he asked. Kirina hesitated. "We only have partial data. Getting close enough for detailed scans is fatal. Show me what you have." The display changed, showing energy wavelengths and radiation patterns. Marcus's eyes widened as he recognized something familiar. "Dr. Lin," he called to the Nemesis's chief scientist. "These patterns, they resemble the quantum field manipulations we were testing with the resonance cannon, don't they?" Dr. Mei Lin studied the data, her expression shifting from confusion to revelation. "Yes, they're creating a cascading quantum disruption in the star's core, but at a scale we never thought possible." Marcus felt the first stirring of hope. If they're using quantum manipulation to destabilize stars, then the same principles might be used to disrupt their technology. Dr. Lin finished. For 3 days, the scientists and engineers from the refugee fleet worked alongside the Nemesis crew, modifying the experimental resonance cannon to target the specific quantum signature used by Veridex technology. They were running final simulations when the alarm sounded. "Veridex scouts." Vask's voice came over the comms. 3 vessels approaching the nebula. Marcus raced back to the Nemesis, the plan forming in his mind. "Prepare to engage. We'll test our theory now." "Captain," Eliza protested, "the modifications aren't fully tested. We don't know if—" "We're out of time, Commander," Marcus cut her off. "If we don't stop them, they'll report our location to their fleet." The Nemesis moved silently through the nebula's radioactive clouds, its adaptive shields protecting it from the intense radiation that confused the Veridex sensors. The enemy ships, sleek, obsidian vessels shaped like elongated diamonds, moved in a search pattern. "Target the lead ship," Marcus ordered. "Charge the resonance cannon." The modified weapon hummed to life, drawing enormous power from the ship's quantum core. "Resonance locked," reported Lieutenant Commander Sato from Tactical. "Firing solution ready." Marcus took a deep breath. This was humanity's last stand, an untested weapon against the force that had burned Earth to ash. "Fire." The resonance cannon released a focused beam that was almost invisible except for the way it distorted space around it. It struck the lead Veridex ship, and for a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the enemy vessel shuddered. Cascading energies rippled across its hull as its own quantum technologies turned against it. The ship's systems failed catastrophically, its power core detonating in a blinding flash. The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. It had worked. The 2 remaining Veridex vessels immediately changed course, accelerating away from the nebula. "They're retreating," Ray exclaimed. "No," Marcus said grimly. "They're reporting back. Target the second ship before it can transmit." The Nemesis pursued, firing conventional weapons as the resonance cannon recharged. They destroyed the second ship, but the third jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing from their sensors. "They know we're here now," Eliza said softly. "And they know we can hurt them." Marcus nodded, watching the empty space where the Veridex scout had vanished. "Begin evacuation of the refugee fleet. We need to move everyone before their main force arrives." As the frantic evacuation began, Marcus returned to the abandoned mining station one last time, meeting with Vask and the other species leaders. "The resonance technology works," he told them. "We can hurt them, but one ship won't be enough against their armada." "What do you propose?" asked Vask. Marcus revealed a data crystal, complete schematics for the resonance weapon. Every ship with sufficient power generation can be modified to carry one. Kirina's wings fluttered in agitation. "You would share your most advanced weapon technology. Just like that. Earth is gone," Marcus said simply. "The old rules, the old rivalries, None of that matters anymore. Either we stand together, or we all die separately. As he returned to the Nemesis, Marcus watched the refugee ships preparing to scatter into the darkness of space. They would spread the resonance technology, create a resistance network, and prepare for the greatest battle in galactic history. The Veridex had burned the galaxy, extinguishing worlds like candles. But they had made one critical mistake. They had left a single human warship alive. And humanity, facing extinction, would not go quietly into the night. As the Nemesis prepared to jump to light speed, Marcus Chen made a silent promise to Earth's ashes. The galaxy had burned. Now it was time to return the favor. Humanity's defiance. 3 months after discovering the Veridex weakness, the UES Nemesis emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Helios cluster. What had once been a bustling trade hub was now a graveyard of shattered planets and dead stars. But hidden among the asteroid fields and radiation zones was something precious. Hope. Proximity alert, Lieutenant Ray Tanaka announced, her fingers dancing across the sensor console. Multiple ships approaching. They're using recognition protocols we distributed through Vask's network. Captain Marcus Chen felt a spark of relief. The resistance was growing. Open a channel, he ordered. The main view screen illuminated, revealing a reptilian Skarn warrior whose scales gleamed like burnished copper. Captain Chen, your reputation precedes you. I am Commander Dexthal of the Skarn Remnant. Welcome to what's left of our territory. In the months since their first encounter with the Veridex scouts, the Nemesis had become legend, the phantom ship that struck from darkness, the vessel that could hurt the invincible enemy. They had participated in 12 engagements, destroyed 27 Veridex vessels, and most importantly, distributed the resonance weapon designs to every surviving civilization. Commander Eliza Washington stepped closer to Marcus, speaking quietly. Do they have it? Marcus addressed Dexthal directly. The quantum core components we requested. Were you able to salvage them? The Skarn commander's vertical pupils narrowed. At great cost, yes. My people recovered the components from the ruins of the Arcturus research station. 30 warriors gave their lives to retrieve them. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten, Marcus promised. Aboard the Nemesis, Dr. Maylin and her team worked feverishly to integrate the salvaged quantum components into what had become known as Project Firestorm, a desperate plan born from studying the Veridex's own tactics. If they can use quantum resonance to collapse a star, Dr. Lin had explained during the planning phase, we can potentially use the same principles to create a cascading disruption effect, one that could disable multiple Veridex ships simultaneously. The theory was sound, but the power requirements were staggering. The Nemesis alone couldn't generate enough energy to power such a device. They needed to convert the ship's entire propulsion system into one massive quantum resonator, a modification that would leave them vulnerable and immobile during activation. Marcus reviewed the latest intelligence reports in his quarters. The Veridex had altered their strategy after encountering the resonance weapons. Instead of spreading their forces thin across multiple systems, they were now concentrating into larger fleets, making them harder to ambush, but potentially creating a greater vulnerability to a wide-area quantum disruption. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Dr. Lin stepped inside, exhaustion evident in her posture. Captain, we've integrated the new components. Based on our simulations, Project Firestorm has a 76% chance of functioning as intended. And if it doesn't, then the feedback will likely destroy the Nemesis instantly, she said matter-of-factly. But there's something else you should know. I've been analyzing the Veridex communication patterns we've intercepted. There's evidence suggesting they're preparing for something big, a massed attack against the Resistance hideouts. Marcus's expression darkened. How soon? Days, maybe less. They're gathering their forces near the Cassiopeia Void. Then we're out of time. Marcus activated the ship-wide communication system. All senior officers to the war room. Immediately. The war room buzzed with tension as representatives from 12 species joined the Nemesis officers around the holographic display. The plan Marcus outlined was audacious to the point of insanity. The Veridex are gathering their forces here. He indicated the massive fleet forming at the edge of the Cassiopeia void. Over 300 ships, likely preparing to strike at our hidden colonies and resistance bases. We cannot match such numbers, said Kurna, who had become a key resistance leader. We won't try to, Marcus replied. Instead, we'll lure them into a trap. The plan called for the resistance fleet to appear vulnerable, retreating toward a seemingly ordinary brown dwarf star. The Nemesis, hidden inside the star's corona and protected by its advanced shields, would activate Project Firestorm, using the brown dwarf's own electromagnetic field as an amplifier. If this works, Dr. Lin explained, the quantum disruption will propagate through the Veridex fleet, disabling their systems completely. And if it fails? Asked Vask, who now commanded the surviving Telosian forces. Then we die, Marcus said simply. But we're dying anyway, piece by piece. This is our chance to strike back, maybe our only chance. The resistance leaders exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between species that would once have been incapable of understanding each other. Dex Thal was the first to step forward. The Skarn remnant stands with you, Captain Chen. We will play our part. One by one, the others joined, pledging their remaining ships and warriors to what could well be the final battle of their civilizations. 3 days later, the trap was set. The Nemesis, systems powered down to minimal levels, hovered within the turbulent plasma of the brown dwarf star designated HD 5592. Only its adaptive shields, continuously reconfiguring to disperse the intense heat, kept the ship from being incinerated. In normal space, the resistance fleet, 78 vessels of varying sizes and designs, waited nervously. The bait had been laid through carefully leaked intelligence and a few deliberate skirmishes designed to look like tactical errors. Veridex fleet detected, Raya announced, her voice tense. Long-range sensors show multiple jump signatures. They're arriving exactly as predicted. Marcus watched the tactical display as hundreds of enemy ships appeared in perfect formation. The Veridex were nothing if not precise in their extermination efforts. Resistance fleet is initiating withdrawal protocol, Commander Washington reported. The Veridex are pursuing. For an agonizing hour, the resistance vessels executed a fighting retreat, sacrificing ships to maintain the illusion of panic and disorganization. Each loss was a knife in Marcus's heart, but necessary for the greater plan. The Veridex are fully committed to pursuit, Lieutenant Commander Seto confirmed. Their formation is compact, optimal for our purposes. Bring primary systems online, Marcus ordered. Begin Firestorm activation sequence. The Nemesis hummed to life, its quantum core pulsing with energy. Conduits that normally powered the engines now channeled that energy into the modified resonance array. Warning lights flashed across every console as the ship's systems were pushed far beyond their design limits. Captain, Dr. Lin called from the engineering station. The quantum matrix is becoming unstable. We're approaching critical resonance too quickly. Compensate, Marcus commanded. Redirect power from life support if necessary. Outside, the Veridex fleet surrounded the resistance ships, preparing to unleash their devastating weapons. Firestorm at 85% charge, Dr. Lin reported, sweat beading on her forehead. 90%. The containment field is fluctuating. The ship shuddered as if in pain. Panel exploded in showers of sparks. The lights flickered and dimmed. 95%. Systems redlining across the board. Hold together, Marcus whispered, addressing both his crew and the ship itself. Just a little longer. Veridex fleet in optimal position. Ray confirmed. They're preparing to fire. 100% charge. Dr. Lin shouted. Marcus took one final breath. Activate Firestorm. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, silently, a ripple of distortion emanated from the Nemesis, amplified by the brown dwarf's electromagnetic field. It spread outward at near light speed, invisible except for a subtle bending of starlight. When it reached the Veridex fleet, the effect was immediate. Ships lost power, their sleek forms suddenly drifting lifeless in space. Systems that had made them invincible simply shut down. The quantum disruption propagated from vessel to vessel, turning the mighty armada into floating metal coffins. On the Nemesis, systems failed catastrophically as the backlash from Project Firestorm tore through the ship's infrastructure. Emergency power only, Eliza reported, coughing through the smoke filling the bridge. Life support functioning at minimal levels. Propulsion offline. Weapons offline. Casualties? Marcus asked, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. 12 confirmed dead, dozens injured. Dr. Lin is among the casualties, sir. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Another name to add to the memorial wall. Another sacrifice in humanity's desperate bid for survival. The Veridex fleet? He asked. Rye worked her damaged console. Completely disabled, sir. Not a single ship shows power signatures. The resistance vessels are moving in, boarding the disabled ships. Hours later, as emergency repairs restored basic functionality to the Nemesis, Marcus received the first reports from the boarding parties. What they found aboard the Veridex ships overturned everything they had believed about their enemy. Their machines. Marcus stared at the holographic images Vask was transmitting. Not merely machines, Vask corrected. Some kind of biomechanical entities. Living technology. The ships themselves appear to be grown rather than built. Any survivors? Anyone we can interrogate? No central entity we would recognize as a commander, Dexthal reported from another captured vessel. They appear to function as a distributed consciousness, but we've accessed some of their data storage. It's disturbing. The truth, when uncovered, was both simpler and more horrifying than they had imagined. The Veridex were not conquerors but caretakers, or so they perceived themselves. Ancient beings who had evolved beyond biological constraints. They had appointed themselves the gardeners of the galaxy, and in their cold calculation, the rapid evolution and expansion of certain species, particularly humans, represented a threat to the galactic ecosystem they had cultivated for millions of years. Earth hadn't been destroyed because humans were dangerous now, but because of what they might become. The Veridex had seen the potential in humanity and reacted with fear disguised as sterilization. 1 month after the Battle of HD 5592, representatives from 27 surviving species gathered aboard the repaired Nemesis. What had begun as a desperate alliance of convenience had evolved into something more, the first steps toward a united galactic community. The Veridex threat is contained but not eliminated, Marcus addressed the assembly. Their central consciousness appears to exist somewhere in the galactic core, coordinating their actions across vast distances. But we've bought ourselves time. Time to recover, rebuild, and prepare. What of the human colony ships? Asked Kurina. Have you located any survivors of your species? Marcus nodded. 3 colony vessels have been confirmed safe, carrying approximately 30,000 humans in stasis. Not much compared to the billions lost, but enough to ensure humanity's continuation. And what would you have us do with the captured Veridex technology? Vask inquired. It is considerably advanced. Study it, understand it, but carefully. Marcus's expression was solemn. The Veridex became what they are by sacrificing their connection to life itself. They forgot what it means to live, to struggle, to cooperate. In fighting them, we've created something they never anticipated. Genuine cooperation between different species. As the meeting concluded, Marcus stood alone at the observation deck, watching the assembled ships of the new alliance. Earth was gone, but humanity had not only survived, it had helped forge something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. Commander Washington joined him, standing silently for a moment before speaking. The colony ships are requesting guidance, Captain. They want to know where humanity should rebuild. Marcus considered the question. Not on some hidden world, always looking over their shoulder, not in fear of what might come from the darkness. "Tell them we're coming to escort them," he finally said. "The galaxy has changed. We won't hide any longer." The Nemesis, battle-scarred but unbowed, prepared to lead the Alliance fleet through the stars. The galaxy had burned, and from those ashes, something new was emerging, a future where no species stood alone against the darkness. Humanity had nearly been extinguished. Instead, they had become the spark for a new beginning.